Hello and welcome. In this video, I plan on covering all the tips and tricks of the Illuvium Gauntlet that a lot of players and veterans may be missing. So if there's anything that you think might help, be sure to check out this video. So we're going to start out here, just grabbing a few alluvials here. First tip we'll be covering, always have a lynx. Lynxes are very strong starter alluvials. I always recommend training a good lynx, as they will go pretty far just as a stage one. And then next, there is the region. Every time you play a different game, there's a new region. Sometimes, like right now, there's no region. You can go up to that and see, it'll give you a description of what that region is and what it does. It also gives you a match code if you want to put it out for anyone to watch your match. Always be sure when you're in the match to bond with an alluvial. It gives your ranger an affinity and a class to start, and then later on, once you get a weapon, it gives you a composite. That composite allows you to match alluvials to increase your different affinity and class effects. You can always go over to the side here, hover over whatever affinity or class you have, and it will show you what your team gains from any of these effects here. If you're thinking about other effects you want to do, you can always go up to this icon right here, the information icon, and that will show you all the affinities and the composites you can get. So my ranger is nature right now, so I can go over to nature and I can see all the different composites that ranger can get. It also gives me the description of what all those composites do. So if I want to get spore, I need to bond my ranger with air. If I want to get wildfire, I can bond my ranger with a fire unit. It also works for classes. So my ranger is a scion, and I just bonded with another scion, so I now have invoker. So my ranger is now invoker wildfire. You can go over and right click on your ranger, and it will say what your composites are right now. Your ranger's level is based off of the average level of all your selected alluvials that you have for your build. And then we have the different augments down here, the augment cells. If you don't like what augment cell you have, so I got a strike, or not strike, a red augment cell here, a force cell. If I want a blue one or a yellow, I can bring it over to the recycler, drop it in there, and the next round it will change to a different cell. And then I can take those and combine those into whatever augment you want. Cells do still give a boost, like this one gives 5 omega power. So I can drag that onto an alluvial, and it will give them 5 more omega power. You can also fuse them while they are on an alluvial. They do not need to be on your bench here. So after this round here, I will show you. Also, your drone can be in the way. You can just right click anywhere on the screen and move your drone anywhere you want. So I got a blue one here. I'll drag that onto one of my alluvials. So that gives my alluvial 3% more max health. Now if I drag this one on top of it, it gives me a forged augment that I can pick. So we'll pick this one right here. And then at the start of a match too, for lynxes, if you plan on getting a higher stage lynx, you can always look at this little arrow right here. Just hover over that and it will tell you what lynx you'll be getting in that game. If you can get a stage 3 lynx or even a stage 2, it will be a fighter lynx at stage 2, and then it will be a fighter fire lynx at stage 3. This also shows each of the tier zeros that you can get in this round. There is always one of each class, and then one of each type. And then if you ever want to see how much credits or alluvials everyone else has, you go over to this tab button. You can either tab or click that. It'll expand, show everyone's credits that they have, along with all the alluvials they collected. In each match, there is a limited number of alluvials. That is displayed here right now. So on here, we have 20 tier zeros, 20 tier 1s, 19 tier 2s, 18 tier 3s, 17 tier 4s, and 15 tier 5s. So that means for tier 1, you can get 20 of the tier 1s can be out in this game at one time. So if I have, say, 3 Atlas, that means that there are 3 Atlases in use. If someone else has 3 Atlas as well, that means there's 6 total in use. All the way up to 20 is allowed. So that also means with tier 1s, 2s, and 3s, there can be a total of 2 stage 3 alluvials of that tier. For tier 4 and 5, it is only possible for one person to get a tier 3. So it is very good to look over on the side here, see how many of each alluvial someone has, so that you know that you're not just spinning and getting nothing. You can also go over and watch someone. That will show you all the alluvials they have on the bench and the alluvials they have on the field. So if you need to go through and count how many alluvials everyone has, so you're not spinning for something you won't get, you can go jump around and do that. And then we can go over here, and you can switch through these different tabs. This first one shows infinities and classes. It also works for the other players to see what they have. You can go to this next one. It shows your combat stats. Your alluvials that are on the field. This one is damage. This one is damage received. And this one is shields and healing. So this will show how much your alluvials have healed and how much they have shielded throughout that match. This is how much their damage they received. Red is physical damage. Blue is energy damage. And white is pure damage. And that is the same for damage dealt by those alluvials. You can see my Lynx here has been dealing pure damage. So then we're going to go over to the Hyper tab here next. This shows your Hyper. Hyper is what you do through having the type advantage. So we can go over to this little eye right here, and that gives you a wheel to show your Hyper damage. So nature gets +2 from fire and +1 from earth, and so on around the wheel. So then water gains +2 from earth and +1 from fire. You can see how the arrows move around the map. So it's a little bit confusing. But after this match, then I will show you a little bit more. So we right now have Hyper selected. If you go around the map for this next round here, we got 14 seconds. We'll just look at the Hypers on the side here. So all the Hypers are the same gain. Hyper bonus at scaling is +0.5 attack speed up to 50%, and hyper bonus at full is 10% damage amp and damage reduction. That stacks both on top of each other. You can go over and highlight an alluvial. So I got a nature alluvial here who is gaining no boost right now. So instead, we'll go over to, okay, we'll just step off of that. I'm getting no boost in this round. So we will throw in that one. And we'll drop that. Throw him in there. So you can see this is getting a 2 boost for hyper. These other alluvials are getting 2 boosts here, 1 boost here. It's depending on which alluvials I have on my field and which alluvials they have on their field. If I were to have, in this match, since they're using lots of fire, if I was to have earth, I'd be getting a lot higher bonus there. Water also gets a pretty decent bonus, but water only gets a single bonus from fire, where earth gets 2 bonus from fire. And that bonus is how fast they will generate their hyper. If you have a higher bonus, your alluvial will gain hyper faster. So we'll wait for this next round here to talk about hyper a little bit more. If we go up here, we can see a little bit more description on what that round was. We can also go around and see what the next round is. It's a PvE round, and we'll be getting a drone augment. Here it is. If we go over here, that's a normal PvP round. And then here we have a normal PvP round where we also gain a suit amplifier. We can also go back here and see what rounds we passed. And then we can go up here and see how many rounds we have, our victories and our defeats. So if we look here, there's 2 natures and an earth. You can see from this earth alluvial that it is boosting these 2 alluvials when you highlight it. You can highlight this other nature alluvial and see that it is being boosted by my water alluvial. So it's getting 1 hyper from my water alluvial. So we'll try something like this. So we're facing a fire, nature. We have some air in here. So if we go back over to here and see that they have a lot of fire and nature, we should be using earth. So if we were to drop out our links, throw an earth alluvial in here, you can see how much hyper we have gained. And you can see by the arrows, we're gaining 1 hyper here. We're actually gaining 2 hyper here. And we're getting 2 hyper from each of the fire units here. What is this here? That's an Archie. So that one is also giving us a boost as well. So it all adds up and subtracts. So air is strong against us. So that would decrease our hyper. And then we got another air here that also decreases our hyper. But for every 1 that gets decreased, if you have another one that's increasing, they cancel each other out. So if you're having more increases than decreases, you'll be increasing. They did not make hyper the easiest thing in this to figure out. Especially when you get a whole bunch of alluvials on here, you're dealing with a lot of different types, a lot of variety. But if someone is using something like full fire and you're using full earth, your alluvials will all be gaining hyper a lot faster than theirs will. So we're facing a pretty big variety here again. We're still gaining 2 hyper here. This Ramphy is gaining 1 hyper, along with all their other fire alluvials. They're all gaining 1 hyper because I got nature and air in here. So they're gaining hyper against my 2 alluvials here. Fire gains 2 ticks off the nature and then 1 off the air. They get nothing changes here, but they lose 2 to earth and lose 1 to water. They also are getting another tick off my ranger. That's why they're only getting 1 increase. As those alluvials start to die, they do start getting less hyper as well. It is all alluvials that are currently on the board. So if I do have more alluvials on the board that are boosting their hyper, if they'll start dying, they will gain their hyper slower. And I think that's about it I can cover for hyper. Also, if we go over here, we can see our base income is 7. That's how much we're getting per round right now. Our interest is a max of 7, so you get 1 interest for every 10 credits you hold at a max of 7. So 70 gets you 7 extra credits each round. Win loss streaks also gets you more credits. And then you get an extra gold for a win. We can go over to the alluvial. You can see the normal stats of that alluvial. If you click and hold shift in a normal match, you would see the other stats that alluvial has. But I think that just about covers it. So, if you have any other questions, be sure to ask. You can contact me on Discord. You can also jump in on any of my live streams. I live stream whenever I can. I'm trying to do daily live streams lately, but I live stream on every single channel. If you want to catch more of my live streams or any of my more videos like this, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe any of my channels. And I will see you all next time.
Yeah. Number 1 is near. Number 1 is near. Started at the bottom lane, small name on the crowded page. One more push, one more round, and my line is moving up the cage. Late nights, calluses, thumbs still sore from the climb. Every loss got a lesson in it, every bruise turned into prime. They said slow down, I said watch me. I don't blink when the boy